Check, check, check. Hey, my name is Sheel, and these are 3 things your lenses are trying to tell you. Number 2 is gonna shock you. Go grab yourself an old lens. Do you have an old vintage camera lying around? Grab it. Look at the lens. Do you see anything? Do you see anything cool, something different? Number 1, you can see the focal distances. You can see the aperture ring. But what are these numbers right down the middle, with the apertures listed to the left and to the right? Is it just to make the lens look cool? Yes and no. These mark a zone of focus depending on your aperture. Zone focusing. Have you heard of it? Let me give you a couple examples. So let's say here that you are at f16 and the subject is about 30 feet away, or 10 meters. If you look at the 16 markers on the left and right hand side, you'll see that the area of focus at f16 will be approximately just over 7 meters to just under 15 meters. So let's say 8 to 14 meters. That area will be in focus. Everything outside of it is going to be blurry. But what about at f4? Okay, well at f4, the area of focus is going to be just below 10 meters and just after 10 meters. Everything outside of that will be out of focus. Does that make sense? This focusing method can work in very quick scenarios if you're standing or moving but you know how far you're going to be away from the subject, like in street photography. It's a great method to use. Now you know. Number 2, your lens is saying, hey, let's take some photos. Pick me up and use me. You gotta take me to dinner first, is what he's saying. Number 3, have you ever wondered what the little red line is just to the right of your focus mark? A little red dot, an R. Take a guess. Did you guess infrared focus? Then you'd be correct. Do you remember learning about electromagnetic radiation and wavelengths in school? I sure do. Let's give you a little lesson here. The infrared wavelength is longer than the visible light spectrum. It's just outside, which is why we can't see it. And because this wavelength is longer, the focal plane will be different than the visible light focal plane. So you have to shift the focus of the lens to compensate for this wavelength. If you know a thing or two about compensating for length, there's a joke in there somewhere. Now, it gets a little bit more complicated with zoom lenses because different focal lengths will have different focal planes. So there will be multiple red dots or lines on your lens to indicate the IR focus and the various focal lengths of your lens. But basically how it works, you look through, you focus as normal. Oh, your subject is 5 meters away? Great. Now let's turn this lens so that the 5 lands on where the red mark is. And you're done. You're now focused for the infrared film. Infrared is fun. I'm excited to try it and experiment with it. I have some Rolly infrared film here that I've been meaning to try. It gives you the coolest images because greens turn into white and the sky turns black, but more on that soon. Soon, loon, tune. That's right, I made a tune for a podcast. Welcome back to the segment. This is the part of the video where I tell you something cool that I've seen, watched, heard, or been a part of since the last video. Do you like Dungeons and Dragons? Do you like podcasts? Trouble at the Tavern is a new podcast. They're about 5-6 episodes deep now. Biased opinion, it's insane. It's really, really good. Unbiased opinion, it's really good. Chris is the best DM. I've played Dungeons and Dragons with him for the past few years. His voice acting's amazing. And Hartley and Mike and Maggie that are on the show are hilarious and funny together. The storyline so far is really good. Highly recommend it. You can listen to my little theme song that's at the beginning and end of each episode, and I did a little music thingies throughout the episodes as well. So thanks to them for having me and trusting me on that little project. Very honored. Pretty cool that my name is now on Spotify, but even cooler that they have a bomb podcast. So go check it out. Link is below. Highly recommended.